All right, we're live.
Hell yeah.
Did you really just go near?
I did the Letter Kenny, the hockey bros thing.
And you're wearing the fucking shirt and everything. Jesus Christ.
I'm repping my gym, bro. I'm repping the boys and the girls and the owners because they're awesome. That, and it's Texas, so it's like 80 degrees outside because of the La Nina weather pattern, which, by the way, that roughly translates to the Nina. So you know. You're welcome.
I'm gonna start recording audio.
I'm glad you didn't catch that one on the audio, but
I'm sad. It's on now.
It's live.
Yeah.
It's live. So you know what I just said is now.
It'll be on Facebook. It's just not on Anchor.
Yeah, it's going to be saved for posterity. That's for sure.
Yes. With historians.
Yes, because they're going to care about this crap.
Yeah.
Oh man, what an evening to be back. Welcome, anyone who might or not might be in there or not be in there.
Nobody yet. Give it time.
Okay. Well, if anyone saunters their way in, welcome.
Yes, welcome.
It is another lovely Friday evening. So we're not gonna go into it, but we have to acknowledge how fucking stupid we are for trying to host this live stream the same day as The Mandalorian drops. Yeah, because with that episode, and we're not going to spoil anything.
Not yet.
But with that episode, with what everyone's probably thinking and ruminating with, we're here to talk about balance.
Well, yeah. I haven't seen the new episode of The Mandalorian yet.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
Well, no, because I worked till 6. I got home, I showered, I ate dinner, and my wife's pregnant and she's having trouble falling asleep, and I was trying to help her fall asleep up until about 8:20.
Correction, your wife is pregnant AF.
Yeah. We have 7 weeks left. Less than 7 weeks.
Damn. That's insane, dude. That is insane. You're gonna be a dad in like 7 weeks.
Does that scare people? Do you think?
It should. It fucking should.
Why the fuck should it?
Because you're like one sharp blow to the head away from being like a total psychopath. Yeah. Tell me I'm wrong.
I mean, I've had several sharp blows to the head.
I'm just saying one
more?
One tumble down a flight of stairs and that's it.
That's done that too, honestly. I hate to break it to you, Kevin. There's probably not, like, my wife will tell you I'm clumsy as hell. There's probably not an injury or like something that has happened that should cause injury that I have not gone through.
Wow, traveling with you is going to be an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a very responsible driver.
Well, no, you do realize that Star Wars Celebration is in 2 years. 2 years.
Yes,
I think we talked
about that.
We're going. We'll front load that baby, and we're going. We're going to California, where I'm going to make you eat an edible or 2 or 4.
Now, see, if you're going to load me up with edibles, I can't be like, I have to bring Brooke with me at least.
Well, of course. I wasn't insinuating that she would stay home.
But she's, I don't want to do that to her and leave her with the baby.
No. Dude, come on. You're going to be at best, I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction. At best, you'll be mildly baked. Like mildly baked. You might get the bends for like 2 seconds and then like, oh, that was interesting. But Brooke will be fine. And of course, the wives are coming with us. We're not going to Celebration without the wives. I mean, if only to make my wife suffer through a Star Wars convention.
That's true. Why would you do that to her?
You're with someone for 12 years and you love them to death, but sometimes you just want to torture them. It's part of a healthy marriage, I assume.
I've been with my wife for 13, and I don't feel that way.
Yeah, you'll get there. We'll get there. It's nothing. It's not malice. It's not like, fuck this. I'm going to mess with her. It's just
you just want to see him and laugh at him.
Well, it's one of those things like, I wonder what'll happen if I
Yeah. That usually doesn't end well for me.
But it's not nefarious or anything like that. It's just, it's like poking the bear. That's all it is. But yeah, of course the wives are coming with us, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome.
Yes.
So
back to the balance thing.
Oh God. Okay. So, hold on, because the irony is too much for me. We're going to be talking about balance in the Force as a theme in Star Wars and balance in our life, and like if I could just describe to you the last hour and a half that I went through. I got home from work. Right. I was determined to get into the garage and train. Right. Mm-hmm. So I had to cram, what would normally be an hour 15 of training into like 45 minutes. Right. And then I had to rush into the shower. Then I had to rush my wife to her friend's house. And then I had to make it back here, set all of this up just to do this. And this is like in an hour and a half. So the irony is that we're here to talk about balance in life, and I fucking have none of it. Well, I mean, come on. I mean, like, it's interesting. Okay, so hold on. Let's back it up, shall we?
Okay.
Let's explain what this is and where we're going with this.
Mm-hmm.
So, for those who follow on the Twitters, I put out a post saying that we're going to be doing a series of episodes. And each one of these episodes is going to take a theme or something from Star Wars, like a theme or something that... help me out, Brad. What am I thinking of? I got weed brain. Help me out.
A theme, a lesson, a story. What?
A character trait?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know the fuck you're looking for.
Help me out, dude. I got weed brain. Okay, I'm always high when I do these things. Okay,
I knew that.
I know that. Anyway, so we're taking each one of these individual themes or character traits or things like that, and we are drilling down on it, and we're talking about how that theme, character trait, how that impacts us in our real lives.
Yes.
How has Star Wars as an entity impacted us personally more than just like we like the whiz bang, you know what I mean? So tonight we're starting with the theme of balance, and in Star Wars it's a very prominent theme, the balance in the Force, Anakin being the chosen one to bring the balance. It's one of those things that constantly tethers the prequel, original, and sequel trilogy together, and I thought it'd be interesting to talk about how we try to apply that lesson of balance in our real lives. And this guy over here was kind enough to go in with this mess that this is going to be.
I don't think it'll be a mess.
I am incredibly caffeinated right now, so this has a 72% chance of being an absolute train wreck.
Yeah, see, I'm not even caffeinated. I just got done working 10 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a rain this morning.
Oh, dear God.
2 cups of coffee throughout the day, and then pre-workout right before I trained. And I don't think I worked it all out of my system. So, yeah,
well, we need to get you some gamer subs.
Like Mountain Dew and Doritos?
No. I'll talk to you about that. Okay. So gamer subs is like, you know how like the pinnacle of like energy drinks or energy mixtures is like gaming mixtures.
Like Jolt Cola?
I don't know what Jolt Cola is. But it's like how like it's always like the what's the word? You know how the like the standard is like usually Mountain Dew?
Yeah.
How it's like, oh, Mountain Dew's got a fuck ton of caffeine. We can down some Mountain Dew and be good. Well, you know what I mean. But they've recently been coming out with like with energy drinks that are for gamers. Gamer Subs is one of them, and it's like it's got like 0 sugar, 0 this that, but it's got like 300 milligrams of caffeine per like scoop or
That's
some
it?
shit like that. I don't know exactly. I'm paraphrasing here. Here, you know what? Taken to the internet.
I'm just saying, like those are some rookie numbers, man. You better bump those numbers up.
Let's see what they.
Like if I had to take a shot at how much caffeine I've consumed today, the rain that I had in the morning is 300 milligrams. My first cup of coffee was probably 70 milligrams, give or take. That's about average for a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
My second cup of coffee had 70, give or take, but I also put 2 shots of espresso in that bitch.
Jesus.
So that's another 80 milligrams. And the pre-workout that I took also has like 300 milligrams of caffeine. So yeah, I'm up there, bud. I'm up there. How my heart has not seized up on me, it's anyone's guess. It's anyone's guess.
Let me see.
So is this like a powder supplement?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like pre-workout. That's what pre-workout is. It's a powder supplement. You mix some water and you throw it down.
Yeah.
So is it just a stem?
No, this is like they have like full-on tubs of this stuff that's just
I know,
like 100 servings and stuff like
the
that.
the ingredients, is it just caffeine, just like a stem?
No, it's let's see.
Do they put like a nootropic in there or some shit?
Let's see. Ingredients: vitamin C, vitamin D3, B6, B12, B7, organic caffeine, L-theanine, I don't know. It's a lot of big words. I didn't finish college, so
All them big words in there.
Yeah.
Confusing us simple.
You got some of that potassium and then some of that zinc.
Do you have aluminium?
Aluminium?
I heard that's a good. That's what the British call
aluminum?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. It's not giving me like amounts, but it's just telling me ingredients.
I don't know how I feel about supplements for gamers. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I use pre-workout for a specific reason, right? Like I work all day and I train generally later in the day. So I need like a little extra kick in the ass to really get the volume in that I need to get in. But what does a gamer need it for?
Just like staying up all night and kicking ass, bro.
Yeah, they have cocaine for that.
Yeah, but cocaine's only legal in Oregon now.
It's not legal. It's decriminalized. It's just decriminalized. I applaud Oregon for doing it, though. I applaud them.
For cracking meth?
The people are going to do it anyway. You think making it illegal stops them? Really?
That's fair.
Yeah, come on. It's like
there's one thing you learn when you're an adult, and that is more people who do cocaine than you think.
Yeah, I was in the San Antonio metal scene for a number of years, dude.
Well, I mean, San Antonio metal scene, I mean, you can pretty much assume everyone's doing.
It's rampant.
Yeah.
It's rampant.
Well, no, like I had a coworker when I first got hired at Jiffy Lube, and she's a rampant cokehead. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. How many oil changes can she do in like half an hour?
Well, when we were working with her, we usually get about 6 done in half an hour.
Sick.
It's about 5 minutes per car.
Yeah, when Muff and I worked at Walmart briefly, we had a supervisor that would every night, man, he'd go into the bathroom and do coke every night, and then he would be insufferable the entire night. And Muff and I took to calling him Tiny Dancer. That was Muff's thing. I don't know why we called him Tiny Dancer, but it stuck. And this dude would like zip in and out of our aisles while we're trying to stock. And he's like, blah, 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 blah. Dude, Muff was at the point where he was like, shut the fuck up, Tiny Dancer. And I think I pegged him with a can of Campbell's soup once.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah. Like, I think that was right around the time I was ready to fucking quit because it's Walmart. But like, yeah, I winged this guy in the head with a can of Campbell's soup. Yeah, that guy was insufferable. So moral of the story, don't do cocaine. Back to balance. So what do you think, dude? Because like for me personally, we're going to rein this back in. I'm probably not the person to talk about balance in terms of like mastering it, because I don't, it's something that I have constantly struggled with and never really, like, every time I make a little bit of headway, I take like 3 steps back.
Well, I mean, I know that I know you have an issue where it makes it harder for you to have balance in your life, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm bipolar.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I think that does play a role in the sense that, like, I'm a person that tends to operate on the extremes. In terms of an emotional spectrum, I'm either I can be either incredibly depressed or manic. Well, mania doesn't happen so much these days, but even like in terms of my reactions to things, they can be very extreme. And even me as like my personality is, I tend to be, an all in or all out type of person. So, I don't half-ass anything. I whole-ass everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem, is I try to whole-ass everything, right? When it comes to
like doing an hour and a half worth of workout in 45 minutes.
Yeah. Like I feel like I have to cram everything in. Because I'm a person that likes my hobbies, right? Like I'm podcasting, I train, and I music and all this stuff. Like I try to fit all these things in because I feel they're essential to my mental health. But there is constantly a casualty. It's either one of them suffers, either the training or the podcasting or my marriage.
You put
work.
too much on your plate and something is left on the back burner because of it.
Absolutely. But in a way, it does kind of gel with balance in the Force in Star Wars because it's never constant, right?
Yeah.
Like Vader or Anakin brought balance. And then even Luke says in The Last Jedi that for a while there was balance. For a time there was balance, I think it was. And then something knocks it out of balance. So it is kind of fitting in that regard because it's something that is never consistently achieved in Star Wars. It sits for a minute and then something is going to throw it out of whack. And it's very similar for me. There are moments where I can get everything clicking and everything gels well. And then I guess my personality is I tend to dip one way into something more extreme than something else. And then it tends to take more of my RAM away, but what about you? Like, where do you find you fall with balance in life?
I find I feel like here, 27, later in my life, I feel like I have achieved probably as close to balance as you could really have in this day and age. But I mean, it also wasn't right off the bat like that. It wasn't easy to get there.
Yeah.
I've dealt with a lot of shit. Growing up, when I was young, I'd get blamed for most things that would just happen around me. And eventually, I came to the conclusion, if I'm going to get fucking blamed for it, I might as well fucking do something.
Yeah.
And then I started acting out as a kid. And I mean, I destroyed some shit. I'm not going to lie. You ever lit a porta potty on fire?
No, but I kind of want to now.
Yeah. So a porta potty is the perfect size and shape to fit a hay bale. And so you can stuff a hay bale inside the porta potty. And then then you can practice throwing Molotov cocktails at it.
That's amazing. That is one shitty fire.
Yeah. And then 4 hours later, all that they'll still be standing is the frame of the porta potty and the toilet.
Nice. What destruction you hath wrought.
Yes. I mean, that's just an example, but it's just, I acted out a lot when I was way younger.
Yeah.
And I mean,
myself as well.
And now, but I feel like it was all worth it in the end, just because now, I've even shit still happens as an adult to me, but I have much less of a reaction now. I mean, just in the last 3 years since I started working at Jiffy Lube, I've been I've had a woman start kicking me in the back of the head really fucking hard, calling me a pervert and all kinds of shit, thinking that I looked up her dress. And I'm like, I didn't even know you were standing there, lady.
Wow.
And like I've had people call the cops on me because they felt like I did something wrong to their vehicle. And I mean, I've never acted out towards anyone in my later life. I've never, really blown up at somebody.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like it's temperance.
Yeah.
It's experience and temperance that you don't like. I don't really react much. I'm just
you're a very cool customer. Yeah, you're a very cool customer.
You can ask my wife. I have the patience of a saint.
Yeah, well, that's about to be tested, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have a little one. That's gonna test every inch of that.
That's okay. I feel like we'll work out because my wife is a daytime person and I'm a nighttime person.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, that's gonna be a real test for you if you think about it. Bringing the kiddo into the mix. You're gonna test that balance.
Oh yeah.
And that's the thing. I think it's hard to take the perspective on it sometimes because I mean, much like you, I acted out when I was a kid and I was very emotionally unbalanced pretty much most of my life. I mean, I didn't get into treatment for my bipolar disorder until I was 24. So everything up until that point was extreme imbalance emotionally.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, not knowing how to process those things, I did the same thing, acted out, and I was a jerk. Like, I was just a jerk. And especially if you were an authority figure, I'd spit in your eye in half a second. And then obviously as an adult, I've mellowed out a little bit. But yeah, it's an interesting thing as a concept, balance, because, it's funny because in Star Wars, in the prequels, right? Like, balance is rested on one dude's shoulders, and he is probably the most emotionally unbalanced character in the prequels. And it's funny because, Anakin struggled with the same thing, balancing his life as a Jedi and being a husband to Padme.
Yeah.
And then it's interesting. It's interesting because art tends to reflect life.
Yeah.
Right. So it's funny because like it's something that I'm constantly chipping away at, right? Because I inherently do want to live a more balanced life. You put a lot of work in to balance yourself out emotionally and grow emotionally, kind of attain a certain level of emotional maturity. And, I've come a long way in that regard. I think I used to be a temperamental little cuss. A little less so now. I wish I could react as cool as you do sometimes because, yeah.
Oh, don't worry. Again, I can remember my first fist fight.
I've never been in a fist fight.
Yes, I've been in a few. My first fist fight was in elementary school.
You won, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard not to win when you're a foot taller than everybody else. Well, no, because my friend, I had a best friend from like someone who I went to kindergarten with back when I lit the kindergarten on fire. That's another story for another time.
You're an arsonist.
That's a real fucking story.
Next episode, folks, we'll talk about the time Brad burned down to kindergarten.
Well, I didn't burn it down, but it was I grew up in a hardcore Mormon family, and it was like a kindergarten is before preschool, right?
Post preschool.
Okay, then it was a preschool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because it was. I hadn't gone to school yet, but like it was kind of like it was like the church's preschool / daycare.
Right.
So it was a day when my best friend wasn't there. Like, again, this was the same friend from the elementary school story, but he wasn't there and I was bored out of my mind. So I was just playing around. I didn't know what to do. And there was a light fixture on the second story of our playground area. Right. And the light didn't work. And I was just flipping the light switch back and forth. And then I just left it on and walked away. And next thing we know, we're all getting taken outside of the building because they're calling the fire department because the lamp burst into flames.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Did you get a letter from Hogwarts shortly after that? Fuck.
I don't know. But back to the elementary school story. Same friend. Someone had like this. Even in elementary school, there was this kid named Aaron, and he's going to be a jock douchebag.
Yeah, that is a pretty standard jock name.
Yeah, and he said or did something I don't remember, but I was like, "Where is he?" I turn around, I'm like looking off in the distance, and I see him over in like the grassy area, and I just take off full tilt, running across the entire playground. Eventually, I caught up to him, tackled him to the ground, and just started wailing on him.
Nice. It's interesting. I've never been in a fist fight.
Yeah.
Ever. I've never gotten even close. And I'm not counting the physical altercations I would have with my older brother.
Oh, that's an older brother.
Right. I mean, like, granted, we would wail on each other. We only had one rule, no face. We would never hit each other in the face, but we would wail everywhere else. I mean, he would beat the crap out of me. I stabbed him in the kneecap with a colored pencil. That old chestnut.
Yeah, but no face though. You stabbed him with a colored pencil. That's okay, but as long as it's not in the face.
I broke the no face rule one time because I threw a vacuum cleaner attachment at him and split his eye open.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
what kind of attachment did you throw?
It was one of the little plastic attachments, man. He was chasing me through the house. Jesus. I ran out into the yard. He was after me. I grabbed a tree to pivot myself, and I swung on the tree, and then knocked him right in the head. That required like 6 stitches.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I think we've established that we were little shitheads.
Yeah.
But like, so where do you think you have made progress in balancing things out? Like, I try to think of like with Anakin specifically, right? Like, do you think he blamed Obi-Wan for everything that happened? Or blamed the Jedi? You know what I mean?
Towards the end, I would say yes.
Yeah. So like, for example, when I was really young and I was starting to become more aware of like the mental stuff going on, and I mean, this was not really young. I was probably like maybe 18, 19. I blamed my parents a lot for it because I felt like they didn't do enough to diagnose it or understand it. Because I was a difficult kid. Like, I was a difficult kid. Couldn't perform in school. I did more acting out than learning. I was a shithead. Very defiant, very rebellious. And when I was around that age, I blamed my parents. I was like, man, they didn't do enough. They failed me, blah, 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 blah. And the interesting thing was as I got older, conveniently enough, right around the time I went into treatment for my disorder, I started to realize, like, no, it was me. You know what I mean? And that was a step on the road to achieving that balance, was admitting that it was me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't blame anyone else for me. And I had to realize that my parents were doing the best they could with the information they had at hand. You know what I mean? It was a different time. It was a different time. When I was 11, the doctor said I had ADHD. When I was 14, they said I had depression. And what they didn't think at the time was like, it's probably all of those things in a nice little fucked up package. So that was like step one on the road to that emotional balance, but what about you?
At a very young age, like, my family, like, I'm the youngest I'm the youngest out of all of the family. And I was in the black sheep family. And we have a large family of 36 people who are blood relatives, and that's not counting their spouses and everything.
Right.
By the time I was 10 years old, I didn't want to go to family get-togethers anymore because what was the point? I'm just going to get fucking teased and picked on. But I would go because I would want to go see my grandma. My grandma was a large part of my early life. She basically helped raise me and my sister. Mm-hmm. But I'd go to see my grandma and everything, and eventually, like, I got to that point where I was like, I'm gonna get fucking blamed for something. I'm gonna fucking start doing stuff.
Right.
And then I started acting out against my family in particular because they were the people who I just absolutely couldn't stand.
Right.
And eventually they got to the point where they stopped teasing me and everything, but then they just started outright ignoring me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had no problem sitting by myself. By the time I was 10 years old, I didn't want to go to these events. Like I didn't want to go to these family get-togethers. So what ended up, I honestly, like, so they started ignoring me. And then, like, occasionally they would include me in something, but it was ultimately, it would just lead to, like, them singling me out in some other way.
Right.
But there was one time one of my aunts had brought a boyfriend with her, and the boyfriend had, like, 2 kids already. And, you know, this is the first time any of us are meeting these guys. So we're all sitting around talking. I'm sitting there quietly. I mean, I'm part of the group.
Right.
You know? But they're all talking. Something was said. One of the boyfriend's kids said something, and one of my cousins said something to make fun of him, and everybody started laughing, me included.
Yeah.
And I this kid looked over at me, saw me laughing, and as you know, I have a fucked up eye because I have a muscle paralyzed.
Yeah.
This kid looked like, this is when I was like young still. I wasn't wearing glasses. I hadn't corrected any of my eye problems or anything. This kid looks at me and goes, what are you laughing at? I'm going to slap you so hard your eye's going to go straight. And all my cousins just laughed harder.
Yeah.
And it's like,
kids are fucked up, man.
Yeah.
Kids are fucked
it's
up.
Like at that point, like, you know, I didn't want to be anywhere near any of them. Like that was honestly where I went from, you know, okay, I'm okay with being ignored to why the fuck am I around these people? Like at that point, that was when I stopped calling them my family.
Yeah.
And like at that point, I was like, no, I'm done. And I mean, that was kind of like my moment of why let anyone's opinion of you matter?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because I'm like, I keep thinking about like how this relates to Star Wars, and I keep thinking of Anakin and Vader. And, you know, I've always felt really drawn to Vader as a character because of the rage. Right. And I think because I mean, I'm assuming that you can relate on this level that, you know, you were probably an angry kid.
Oh yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Me too. To some extent, I'm still very much an angry adult. But like, you know, you probably know what it's like to feel angry in your fucking bones, right? Like just it's like venom in your fucking veins.
Yeah.
Right. And I think of Anakin and Vader because with that kind of venom, with that kind of rage, it's always accompanied by some kind of trauma or pain. Like, I mean, you talk about getting made fun of and bullied. I mean, fuck, dude, I can relate to that. I was undersized. I was a pocket child. I was a pocketbook child. Like you could fit me in your pocket. You know, just to paint the picture, I was always on the short side. Very quiet, very withdrawn kind of kid, especially around large groups of people. I just wasn't vibing on it. And, you know, that obviously makes you a pretty convenient target in schoolyard situations, things like that, because kids are bastards, right? Like the Baby Yoda eating them fucking eggs. Like he was being a bat. Like Doc Ravencourt over at University of Coruscant said it best. He was a bastard toddler acting like a bastard toddler. And you know, I know what that's like. So I mean, growing up, you know, I was always very leery of people, and especially people my age, because like, I mean, I got bullied a lot, and you know, I was very like timid as a kid. Like I wouldn't fight back. Like I wouldn't say anything back. I would seize up when someone fucking made fun of me. Like I could never fire back at them because I would just like, I'd freak out, you know?
Yeah.
And that kind of shit, you know, when you mix it in with a healthy dose of mental illness, you know, that is fertile grounds for a whole lot of fucking rage.
Yeah.
And, you know, Anakin's childhood trauma, being separated from his mom and thrust into these wider galactic events and being told you're the chosen one.
Well, and even then, like as a teenager, basically, he goes back to rescue his mom only to feel the sense of absolute failure when he finds out that she's dead and she dies in his arms. It doesn't matter the fact that Shmi tells him, Annie, I love you and all that. Like they have a tender last moment, but the sheer fact that she dies in his arms is absolute failure to him.
Yeah. I mean, and talk about unbalance. I mean, what's more unbalancing than that? You know? And especially as like a Force user, your connection to the Force is so heavily informed by your emotional state. It's something that I think you and I can relate to on a pretty visceral level, because we know what it's like to carry that kind of rage. And it's I think the key to finding balance for that anger is finding outlets for it, right?
Yeah. I would say find outlets for it, or at the same time, I mean, honestly, the biggest thing that's helped me in the time that, I've tried to, like in the issues that I've had with my life and how I grew up and everything, honestly, my wife is my biggest help.
Yeah.
Like, I have video games, I have the podcast, I have books, I have plenty of outlets, but my wife is by far my biggest help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like she definitely keeps me grounded.
I can echo that, man. My coping mechanisms for that have kind of either, they're pretty similar. Growing up as a kid or as a teenager, metal music, it spoke to that emotion in a way that I couldn't. It articulated it in a way that I couldn't, and it gave me a visceral outlet. And then it also, you'd listen to certain lyrics and things like that, and you realize, okay, maybe someone else gets it, because I think at the root of all of that rage and unbalance and that all of that is an understanding is a desire to be understood. I think Anakin as a character also wanted to just be understood. He wanted someone to get it, and that's a powerful thing, and then of course the powerlifting, the training, that is definitely a way for me to work out that rage. Because like as an adult, it's mellowed, it is mellowed out. I am not as consumed by it, I think is a good way to put it. But it's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there. I don't think that goes away. I don't think that goes away at all. And it's funny. It's funny because like, I start thinking about things that I do now as an adult, and I realize like some of them are just overcompensating for the things that I dealt with in my childhood, right? Like even the weight training, right? That is a compensation, growing up small and then being obese or just tubbier. I'd watch action movies and superhero movies, and I'm like, man, I wish I could look like that. And I realized like, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing this to compensate for that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But through that, I've achieved balance in some things or gotten closer, right? Like my diet is a huge, huge example of one of those little things on the macro level that I have achieved a little more balance in. The backstory with that is, of course, I'm a food neophobic. For those of you who don't know what that means, it's a food. I know it sucks. Food neophobia is an actual phobia of trying new foods. So growing up, someone would try to force feed me something because I wouldn't eat certain things. And the minute it hit my mouth, I would get nauseous and feel like I wanted to puke. And it was really emotionally taxing. And over the last, I'd say 5 years, I've made a lot of progress on that front, to the point where nutritionally, I have a more balanced diet now than I ever have in my life. Eating things that if you would have approached me 8 years ago and said, "Hey, dude, you're going to be eating broccoli," I'd have been like, "Nope, Doritos and ice cream for me. Thank you very much." So that's one area that I've made some progress in. And I think maybe for me, it is about those macro things. Like, I don't think overall I'm ever going to achieve a semblance of balance. I think I'm going to be constantly teetering or tottering in one direction or another. But I think on the macro level, I think I can make some progress.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think what matters a lot also is like the level of trauma that you do have to combat to achieve that balance. There's, I mean, there's certain levels with everything. I mean, and I feel like, I mean, when I was younger, like, okay, other than like podcasts and video games, I'm a very quiet person.
Yeah.
When I was younger, you could not get me to shut up.
Yeah.
I would talk about anything with anybody. I approached anybody who would like let me talk to them. But it's, again, just one of those traumas of like being told to, at a very young age, being told to by somebody who like you look up to shut up and like to stop talking and everything. It's like, I stopped talking like altogether mostly. So, I mean, it's a lot of it has to do with the trauma, but I mean, it's coping mechanisms for different types. And then there's the amount that you have to look into.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the amount you have to consider.
I mean, what I think you echoed is really interesting. You're talking about, your wife being that kind of grounding force in your life. And, I'd have to echo the same thing. My wife, she deserves a fucking medal for the shit she's had to put up with. Let me tell you that much. And, sometimes people come into your life that help you grow and they make you better. And I don't mean that in one of those like stereotypical, like, oh, I'm going to change him kind of ways, or I'm going to improve this man. But like an honest, earnest desire to see that person you love do better. And that makes me think of Luke.
Yeah.
Luke breaking through to Vader and getting Anakin to come out there. Our wives are our Luke.
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah, that's for the boys over at Suations. That's for those boys. But yeah, like, I mean, my wife constantly, and I don't, it sounds so stereotypical, but she calls me on my shit. And I don't mean that in like, she nitpicks every little weird thing I do. It's, she helps me monitor where I'm at mentally, like she'll tell me like, hey, I think you're slipping this way. I think you're going this way. Or, perfect example, man. Perfect example. She asked me last weekend to not go to the gym, and she wanted to spend time with me. And the failing that I have is that wasn't the first thought in my head. My first thought was like, oh, it's Saturday, it's squat day. That's what I'm going to go do. I'm very much a creature of habit and routine.
Yeah.
And, that was kind of like your wake up call. Like, hey, asshole, you're obsessing over the gym and this stuff. You've got a wife and she does require your attention from time to time. Yeah. And then I have to kind of like, smash myself in the head with a hammer a few times and kind of bring myself back and realize that like other things need my attention too. So in that way, that external force can be very beneficial to you in terms of achieving a greater semblance of balance. Oh, yeah. Right. And I think most couples out there could probably attest to that. I just called Vader and Luke a couple. Ding, 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 ding. But you know what?
And it's necrophilia because Vader died.
That's true. That's true. But you know what's funny? We talk about trauma and what role trauma plays in achieving balance. And it makes me think of Rey. Like, I mean, think about it, right? Like, think about, and I know people make a big to-do about the whole Palpatine returning thing. But put yourself in Rey's shoes. And you find out your granddaddy is the most vile, hated, infamous
shit lord.
Yeah, like of all time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it makes that line at during the third act of Rise of Skywalker when she tells him, all you want me to do is hate and I won't. Like, you know, God, can I get a piece of that kind of maturity and that kind of togetherness? Because like Rey had every excuse to follow through with her plan and just hide away on Octo, right? Like that level of trauma can send anybody running for the hills.
Yeah.
You know? And to come back that strong and fight back against that desire to just run, you know, that's insane. That's insane.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, an example I have of that is like when I first started getting into video games when I was younger. You know, it's when I originally came up with the username of being Ghost or whatever. And that's actually a username I use for most of my games. But I was told by one of my cousins, I was like, why are you naming yourself that? That's stupid. What are you doing? And from that point forward, I was like, you know what, motherfucker? That's going to be my username for every game I can possibly make it my username just to fucking spite you.
Hell yeah.
See, that's the thing. Like, you talk about how like I'm not as emotionally balanced as I seem. It's just I became a vindictive jackass.
It works for you, pal.
I humiliate and ridicule people socially to such a degree that they're like, damn.
It works for you, pal. It looks good on you. It looks good on you. Yeah.
I traded it for hair. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm losing the hair and I'm gaining the ability.
Well, I mean, look, as you lose hair, your spite at the world should only grow.
Exactly.
You know, the world's happiness should be as incomplete as your hairline.
That's right. Because look how far back that shit goes, man.
Hey, man, I'm wearing a hat for a reason.
And you can see the part where that bitch threw the nair at me.
Yeah, I mean, dude.
Did I ever tell you about that?
No. Who threw nair at you?
So that's another Jiffy Lube story.
Fuck, buckle in.
So yeah, there was a customer who came in and we went over like our normal spiel with her. So we told her the prices on our oil change.
Yeah.
And then we did her oil change. We pulled out, like we were getting ready to cash her out. She heard the price. She immediately said, no, that's not what she agreed to. Caused the whole big ass scene, threw all kinds of fits. And then we told her, it's like, we're not giving you back your keys until you pay for the service.
Yeah.
And she flipped shit some more. She called the cops.
Oh, lovely.
The cop sided with us. He's like, you have to pay for the service after you agreed to it. I mean, they can hold your keys until then. So she's just all pissy and pays for it and grabs her keys and then speeds off.
Yeah.
The next day calls on the phone to bitch and complain. Then 2 days after after the phone call, she shows up, yells at us some more. She's parked like out front. Normally you pull around back to pull your car in, but she's pulled up out front, yelling, screaming, and like we're like, man, we're not giving you a refund and all this. I'm downstairs. I have my head with how tall I am, you know, the bottom, like the basement level of the shop where the lower base it works, like to change the oil. It's like another story. It's essentially like your standard like level of building.
Yeah.
Standing on the scaffolding, I come like my shoulder is like level with the ground.
Nice.
So I've got my head above ground. She yells, reaches back into her car, pulls out some random unmarked bottle and hurls it at us. It hits the wall, it pops open, it explodes. Some kind of lotion went everywhere. Got it all right. You can see the spot that she got.
Yeah.
But it's like got all right in there and everything. I've like washed it out and everything. We called the cops. She sped off. She's currently she is I don't know what happened to her, but I know she was charged with like 5 accounts of aggravated assault.
You were assaulted with nair. You were nair salted.
Yes.
Nice.
But like the next like a day or two, like the next like day, I went to like I went to look in the mirror and I saw like all the hair had just gone. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's funny. My wife helps me nair my chest hair and back hair off. Yep. Folks, I am a hairy Sasquatch of a man. And, the chest pelt, while it can be rugged, all the times that I have zookeepers chasing me down the street thinking something got out, it's just not cool anymore.
So you should let it grow out, and then your wife can grab a hold of it when she's making love to you.
She grabs a hold of like the loose skin now, and she just grips and rips, man.
Oh,
just grips and rips, man. Oh, she's gonna love that. That's out there now. What the hell am I worried about?
Watching. She's not gonna watch this.
No. What the hell am I worried about, man? We talked about Captain America butt plugs in the last one. Yeah. Wow. Right back to the butt stuff. So I don't know, man. It's funny that in Star Wars, balance is elusive, because I think it's also elusive in life. I think it's something that you have to keep working at.
Yeah.
Because life is going to keep throwing new things at you, and you're going to have to figure out how to incorporate those things. Like, one of the things that I'm consistently trying to do is place work at a higher place of importance. For the longest time, I struggled with working for a living, not like the act of actually having a job, although that too. But like growing up and in my early 20s, I felt like I had to do something significant. I had to do something that was worth it, that would be important. And man, I had all kinds of delusional ideas of what that was going to be. And as I got older, I realized, like, okay, man, work is one of the things that I did to kind of rectify that was convince myself of the reality that work is just something you do for money, right? It's how you keep the lights on. It doesn't have to define who you are. And that's something that is kind of a constant tug of war. Because sometimes I still have those old feelings creep up, like, okay, pest control is not that significant. Like, it's not that significant. And those old feelings come up, and I have to kind of rein it in and remind myself that, like, dude, it's just a job. But with that, like, again, I'm not a person of half measures. I don't go half in on something. I go all in. And with this new job, going all in is what is required. Like, I have to dive headfirst into this thing. And the trouble I have is, okay, how do I go all in on this and then maintain everything else? Right? Because like I said, I'm a person of extremes. I will tilt one way or I'll tilt the other. Yeah. And, it goes back to the theme. Like, balance is never achieved for any sustained amount of time. Something's always going to throw a wrench in it, and you're going to have to keep working at it, and you're going to have to make more adjustments. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you can obviously relate. You got a fucking kid on the way. That's like that's the most life-changing thing that's going to happen to you. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'm essentially for the first 18 years of its life, I'm essentially going to own a human being.
Yeah. Dude, you're going to be balancing, trying to get enough sleep with, caring for the kiddo and your job and making sure the wife is well attended to. It's going to be a challenge.
Oh, I'm sure it is. But I mean, it's one that honestly, I feel like I'm ready for it. It's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
But that honestly, like, you brought up the baby, and I feel like, if anything, the baby might just bring me more into balance, man. Because what does Lando tell Poe in episode 9? When Poe's sitting there wondering, how did you guys do it? When how did you go against an empire? And Lando just kind of shrugs, and we had each other.
Yeah.
So I mean, I look back to how I was, and I look back to what I had, and how, like, everything that happened. And I look at myself now, and I mean, I have, back then I really didn't have anything, because I wasn't going to bother my parents with my bullshit.
Yeah.
my sister moved out fairly early in my life because I mean she's 8 years older than me.
Yeah.
And she's the only sibling I've known. But you know, I really didn't feel like I didn't bring my problems to anybody. I didn't do anything, you know, positive about it or uplifting because I was too young. There's nothing I could do.
Right.
You know, I'm older now, and I still carry the scars with me. I still carry the trauma.
Of course you do.
But I mean, I look at what I have. I play video games. I make internet content. I have a podcast. The friends that I have now are more numerous and more dependable than when I was then. I have a great friend that I podcast with every chance I get. You know, I've got you. You introduced me to Muff and Eric, and honestly, they're I'll talk to them every time I want to laugh.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I have my wife, who love of my life. She keeps me rooted.
Right.
She keeps me in check. And then I mean, I've got a baby on the way.
Pretty cool, man.
It's
pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm definitely grateful. I'm definitely blessed.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're touching on something really important, and that's perspective.
Yeah.
You know, there are moments where I certainly feel like, holy fuck, I have no goddamn clue what I'm doing. Like, I have no idea, and everything's in disarray, and I suck at everything. You know,
text me.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, I'll be straight up. I have a very harsh self-opinion, and I'm very harsh on myself, very hard on myself, and I place standards on myself that I know are difficult to achieve, because I feel that if I do anything less, then I will take that as carte blanche to fuck about, and I can't do that, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, part of achieving balance for me was becoming more disciplined. It was nothing that I was born with by any fucking stretch of the imagination. Yeah. I was not a disciplined child. I was not disciplined in my teenage years, and I was less disciplined in my early 20s than I am now. That was something that I fucking worked at constantly. And, you know, and that's the thing. I think recognizing another stone towards balance might be recognizing your fucking shortcomings. And, you know, like, I know I'll fuck about if I want. Like, if I give myself half an excuse, I will just, everything will fucking fall apart. Because I've got that lazy gene that, you know, if I don't want to do it, I won't fucking do it.
Yeah.
Still very much a teenager in that regard. Like, no, it's stupid.
That's when you have your good friend Brad there with a cattle prod.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, that's another component to it, right? Like, I was not a sociable kid. It was really, really hard for me to make friends. Yeah. And, you know, like Muff and Eric, definitely Muff, Eric, and Jesse, and they definitely were there for me in my teenage years. You came in at a very specific time, and I'm incredibly grateful for it. And it's still very much consistent. Like, I tend to keep my circle small.
Yeah.
I'm not very much of a social butterfly, but the people that I do include, they don't subtract from my life. They add to it.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, like, for you add a camaraderie, you add a creative vibe, you add decency, which was weird. That was a new one for me. And it's
That's
those things. I think as you progress, you start to put the pieces together, and then those pieces shift occasionally, and you have to figure out how do they fit now that they've shifted.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's also present in Star Wars. Like, the chess pieces move, and it shifts the balance, and then it has to adjust, and it has to kind of come back into balance. Yeah. You know, and maybe just to kind of bring this around full circle, maybe that's one of the components that keeps drawing us back to Star Wars. Why it hits so hard thematically, why it hits on such a personal level. What do you think?
No, you're right. I mean, it's as sad as it is that we're sitting here relating to Darth Vader. We can relate to Ben to Ben Solo.
Oh hell yeah, hell yeah. Temperamental Kylo is
yes.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
I would definitely for sure destroy something with my lightsaber just because I was pissed.
Hell yeah.
Every scene where there's just sparks flying out of a door and two stormtroopers stop, turn around, and walk away.
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I want to say Maul to some extent.
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely relate to Maul in the sense that, like, I know what it's like to carry that kind of like chip on your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To feel like you've been cheated out of something, to feel like someone's cheated you, or the universe has it's pitted against you.
Yeah.
So I get that, and it's honestly what makes Maul's arc so tragic.
Yeah.
Is that he was never able to grow beyond that. And like, for example, I have grown beyond having that chip on my shoulder, thinking that the world owes me anything, or that, what was that I used to say for a long time? Like, God fucked up when he made me. And it made me think of that line from Lethal Weapon, God hates me. That's what it is. Hate him back works for me. That was kind of how I operated for many years. Kind of that death metal song. Yeah, that's why I played metal music. It was like my fuck you to the world. The last HKT record is that. It's a giant fuck you to the world. The entire the through line that connects all of those songs is like, maybe the world needs to fucking end. Like, so I know what that's like, but I've grown beyond that. I've matured beyond that, and I've learned to lean on the positive things, like friends, my marriage, the things that I do have going for me, like, my health, and for even being grateful to train, right? To not look at it as something I have to do, like, oh fuck, I gotta go work out. Like, no, I'm grateful that my body allows me to do this. I'm very grateful that I get to do that. I'm grateful that I've got you in my life. I'm grateful that I've got a killer fucking wife. And that's the thing. Like, there are characters even within Star Wars that do grow beyond that chip on the shoulder. Luke in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
That perfect example. That's a guy that turned it around.
Obi-Wan in the desert on Tatooine. You know, at the end of episode 3 had a chip on his shoulder.
Oh yeah.
He had some demons and shit he was trying to process at the end of 3. And then to come back as in 4 as that gentle old man who's like, hello there.
Yeah. Which is I think that's what's going to make the Obi-Wan series so interesting to explore. Is, we're probably going to deal with some of that bitter Obi-Wan, which I'm actually kind of excited for. But yeah, ultimately, I think that this conversation has showed us that balance is never constant.
No,
it's never constant in Star Wars.
It's something that constantly needs to be maintained and worked on. Yeah.
I think we had a nice little therapy sesh.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I actually, you know what? I'm actually, I'm gonna break the fourth wall here. I'm really happy that we had this conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like you and I haven't dived deep on something like this in a good long fucking while, and it feels really fucking good.
Yeah.
It feels really fucking good. And it makes me really excited to continue this series because I'm not going to lie. I knew it was a good idea. I was worried about the execution. Yeah. And I'm now far more confident and far more excited to continue this series. So in that vein, what's coming up next? What's the next episode's topic going to be?
Next episode topic is going to be rebellions are built on hope.
Ah, yes. Hope.
Yes.
Hope.
Fucking cat's trying to get my attention and just dug claws into my fucking leg.
Yeah, this is why I close my doors, bro.
Oh, shit.
Oh, we got a kitty cam. Kitty cam. Yeah, it's not a Force Loser stream without a kitty.
This one, I think this is Ray. Yeah, that's Ray.
Hey, Ray. Wow. So, oh God, if we could screen capture that, that'd be amazing.
Somebody will.
I hope so.
Put it on Twitter. So. Tag us in it.
Hell yeah. All right, guys. Man, it's been an awesome conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to keep digging into this series, man. I'm really fucking excited. So before we bring this bird in for a landing, Brad, where can they find you?
They can always find me on the Force Losers Facebook page. You're on the Facebook page. That's me. Yeah, send me messages. I'm a meme lord. I'll probably answer it with a meme. Nice. Otherwise, I mean, you can find the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts for audio. Mm-hmm. We're on Anchor, Spotify, Google Music, Apple Music, everything. The only place you cannot find us is Podbean because they don't like us anymore. Other than that, I am the one in charge of the YouTube page. So I will post this. Well, this is already on YouTube anyway, so I'll post the audio as soon as I can.
Yeah, man.
Where can they find you, Kevin?
Guys, you can find me on the Twitters at Force_losers. If you're talking to the Force Losers on Twitter, you have the distinct displeasure of talking to me. You may also find me on Instagram at HeavyKevyHKT. It's just training videos. So if you want to see the progression of a fat dude becoming less fat, you want to see me hoist weights. I'm usually shirtless, so be forewarned. And also, there are a handful of videos where you're probably going to see my junk through my. I wear the silkies, man. I train in silkies. If I'm gonna hoist weights,
I'm trying to think. I actually think I might follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, you're probably going to see my dangle. So.
Oh yeah, and I'm on Twitter now too because I'm Intrepid Co-host.
Yes, he is the Intrepid Co-host at Intrepid Co-host. But you guys, moreover, you can find the podcast at red5network.com because yes, Brad and I are proud Gold Squadron members of the Red 5 Network. Yes. So saunter your happy little ass over to red5network.com. You can find our show. You can find a slew of other podcasts. We have not one, not two, but 3 squadrons: Red Squadron, Gold Squadron, and the newly formed Blue Squadron. You have literally your dealer's choice of awesome podcasts covering everything from Star Wars to other geek shit that we're all into. It's like
14 podcasts now?
It's big now, man. It's big now. And we couldn't be prouder to be part of the network. It's a great bunch of people, and you know we're always grateful for the opportunity they gave us to become part of that.
Yes.
So definitely jump over to red5network.com and get your fill. But yeah, that's where you can find us. We're gonna bring this bird in for a landing tonight. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. For those that might have popped in during the live stream, for those that are going to watch it later, or those who are going to listen to the audio podcast later, thank you so much for your support. It means the world to us. We really, really love doing this, and we really love the fact that there's people out there that vibe on it. And so to that, thank you guys so much. Brad, you ready to send this thing off?
I'm ready.
Let's go. And a 1, and a 2, and a 3. Later, bitches.